Shiba Inu and 1,842% growth. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the channel. So glad to have you guys here today. We have an awesome video for you today. We are going to be jumping into Shiba Inu. We're going to be looking at the charts today. We're going to be looking at the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour. And yes, you heard me correct in the intro. There is a company that grew 1,842% that we're going to take a look at this article because it's very, very important. So we have a lot of news to cover. We're going to get through all of that after we cover the charts, which we will be looking at Shiba Inu, Bitcoin, Ethereum in today's video. So let's get started. And hey, if you're new here, my name is Ryan Huggins. I'm a real estate agent and a crypto and real estate investor here in Southern California. And my job is to help be your crypto shortcut. Because if you're like most people, you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day reading through all the different articles, watching hours of YouTube, but that is what I do. And then I bring that information to you in a condensed manner. So if you would like that type of information, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So here we are. We are on the daily charts now for Shiba Inu. We were on the 4-hour. We'll be jumping back into that. Like we covered yesterday, price did come exactly to our 4-hour supply and demand zone. Boom, bounced up off of that. We have now recovered on the daily that 21 exponential moving average. And if you guys remember, we do have an important date coming in the near future, and that is August 28th when the new moon hits. So can we recover August 28th here? So can we recover price? Let's see what we still need to do here. We need to get back about 33% more. Can we recover and get a new higher high in that time period? Now, I know a lot of you guys were thinking to yourselves, oh my gosh, we had this extreme moonshot. Oh, it's over. The crypto world is over because we had this drop. But if you've been following along with us here at the channel, we told you specifically when a price runs that fast, it is not a good thing. It's exciting, but price always comes back to fill the imbalance or the fair value gap, whatever you want to call it. And in fact, here on the daily, you can see we had a histogram and a money flow bearish divergence. It played out to a T. You can see last time we had any divergence on the daily, it was the on balance volume and the money flow indicator both had bullish divergences here, and it had the nice pump. We also had, of course, in that same time frame, let me go over here and we'll turn off the divergences. No, we need that one. We'll turn off that one. All right. And then we have our moon phases as well. So if you guys remember when the new moon hit a couple of days later, boom, we had an explosion, came back with a correction. But remember, here's something that's interesting that a lot of people are going to forget. This candle, yes, it moonshotted, but in reality, if we go back in time, where was the price, right? So we needed to move up in price from here, which was that quad 01337. And if we would have just been inching along and we'd have continued moving up, that would have been fantastic as well. You can see we are now above the quad 013. Now we do need to reclaim that as an actual support. So you remember it was resistance, resistance, resistance all this time. It came down and even broke below it again, right? Right here, it broke below it again. Now we're above it. We want to reclaim that as an actual support. And then we're looking for momentum to build. Could next week be an explosive week in the market because we have 3 hours, 50 minutes left in today's candles, right? In today's candles. Now that means that the new weekly candle starts tomorrow in about 4 hours. And then all of next week leading up into our new moon, which is August 28th. And remember, the new moons indicate a potential top where we have a pullback. So could we see a retracement? So could we have price run up positively, momentum-wise, into this new moon where we do have the pullback again? And we are going to be following that very closely. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see what happens. Follow along till August 28th when that does happen for us. Also coming up in that time of frame, right? So August 26th, what will we be getting? We will be getting the Fed Chair Jerome Powell speech. So we're going to also be getting our new interest rate numbers coming out. So are they going to raise the interest rate to rein in inflation? So a lot of interesting things that co-align with exactly what's going on to where it could be a explosive last couple of days of that week. So we're going to continue following that and then see what happens as far as price goes. But could we have the rally? That's what we're looking for right now. Can we have that rally to the upside, get back above the previous high? In reality, we are now officially higher. Okay, so we are now higher than where we were when we started, which is positive, the day before the explosion candle, which was August 13th. We needed to see a pump to the upside above that quad 013. Now we are. Like, if we just erased all of this and we just went from this day to this day, we are still positive. We are still in the green, which is a good thing. Obviously, this huge explosion and then retracement was fun and scary to see all in once, but that's where we stand right now. We are still up from the previous day. So you can see here on the weekly candle, this was the week prior. That big day had the explosion in this candle as well last week. This is our current weekly candle, which comes to an end here in 3 hours, 47 minutes. It did end up having a full retracement, but it leaves a wick at the bottom showing that the bulls are buying back the bottom of this here. You can also see, we talked about this extensively when this candle went up last week, that there was a major imbalance as far as price goes. We do still have one right here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this on here, and this might blow some of you away as far as like scare you. There is a fair value gap still to the lower section here. All right. Now you can see we also have a fair value gap to the upside. We have a massive fair value gap up here, which is going to be exciting to get back to on the weekly charts. We want to see that be filled in the near future, but we very, very likely could have a return to the lows with all of the negative news you're hearing more towards the end of September. So we could see a continued growth, I think, for August, which is coming to an end, and then the beginning of September, and then the end of September, we may see the pullback that I am just thinking is going to be happening. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. That is not financial advice. It's just what I'm seeing. It's just what's coming across to me, the indications in the actual market. So here we have the pump that's starting to round up our RSI, which is good. So this daily candle, we did get to the overbought territory, and that is a warning sign. Now we've come back to reality, and we talked about this the other day. It's literally bouncing off of the 50 line of the RSI, which means bulls are still in control. Now, could we see this move to the upside? And we talked about this as well, where price, we could get a new higher high, right? It may not be super high, but if we get a new higher high, we would also see on the RSI though, let's say that RSI only gets back up to here, right? Or even if it only gets back up to the 70, because as price climbs, RSI is going to climb. It doesn't reach the higher high. It also gets a new lower high. So we have a new higher high in price, new lower high in the RSI, giving us a bearish divergence, which you saw what happened here on a bearish divergence. It does tend to retrace in price. We do have another very positive sign though. Even though we did not keep the 21 exponential moving average, meaning it broke down, we have regained that, but also we have kept the 50 moving average. We did not break below that, which is very solid. And even though this was a spectacular pullback, it is a new higher low. Okay, so our previous low was here, and we had a new higher high. This is a higher low. That is still very good for market structure, stating that we are in bullish market structure. All right, so where are we going? Jumping back here to the 4 hour, let's get rid of these fair value gaps because they get a little busy. In fact, let's turn off everything. We'll go naked charts. We'll go Heikin-Ashi candles, and we are going to go 4 hour charts. All right, so what do we need? We need to break above this line now. Prior to that, we need to break above this line. So that is where price needs to get back to. So for those of you that cannot see, that price is the first level that needs to break to the upside, quad 01384, quad 01384, and then after that, the quad 01407, quad 01407, because then we can make this move back to this level here. These are our interference candles, these two right here, but this is our clear and concise supply and demand box there. That's at quad 0, 1574. Quad 0, 1574. Let's go ahead and drop down to the hourly, and we'll take a little closer look at what we've got and just give ourselves a good idea. So let's go ahead and go with that top, which is that one there. And then this would be our bottom of the zone. So this is the last green candle before this down move, giving us that there. So we need to see that break to the upside of that. So we can now remove these lines because they're not as important anymore now that we have our supply and demand box. So here is our supply and demand box on the 1 hour, meaning we need to go blue, right? So our 1 hour boxes, we color in blue. And now you can see we need to break through this box. After we break through that box, we will have another level of interference here on the 1 hour charts. And that's going to be right here. All right. So this is a massive, massive 1 hour challenge that we still need to get through for Shiba Inu. And if we do, we break the top of that quad 0, 1408. That would lead us up to the next level here, which is going to be a minor interference of quad 0, 1473. Then we can get back up to our 4 hour supply and demand zone here, quad 0, 1574. So that may take a few hours. That may take a few days. That's where the supply and demands lead us. Now, if we want to look also to the downside, just in case, so where could price be going to the downside here? Let's go ahead and take our box and go to the ultimate bottom here. This is like our ultimate support. We would not want to see this break. Otherwise, we would have to go back in history and start to see even farther breaks. But for now, that should be a solid support since it's a local support. Now, one thing, we just talked about how positive news is our market structure on the daily is starting to still show, we have higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Well, here on this 1 hour time frame, we are having lower lows over these ones. But just recently, over this last day, starting at the bottom here, August 20th, we've had a new higher high, a new higher low, a new higher high, a new higher low. A new higher high is not developed yet. Okay, the new higher high will probably be when it runs into this zone here. So that's looking good. And then if we turn on our market cipher moving averages, you can see we've got the bullish cross, the 21 exponential crossing over the 50. Also on the 1 hour, price has regained the 50 as a support level. So it looks bullish in those short terms. All right, so over the next couple of hours, we may be having a retest section, but right now it's looking good. Going to the TDI, Traders Dynamic Index, RSI, it's getting pretty high here. It has not capped out at the 70, but the gap is widening. You can see the RSI, it is starting to like flare out and open. It's opening down and opening up. So that is good because we may see some sort of real soon explosion in price to the upside to finish the day strong, whatever the case. Remember, this is the final day of the week. So that's where we got for Shiba Inu. We have that downside level. We're going to talk about that 1,842% gain company. We want to take a look at that. Don't forget that's coming up in the news. And we also have a lot of really important news besides that. So stick with me till the end. But quad 0, 1288 would be the support level down below. After that, we do have the resistance that it needs to break of quad 0, 1353. And then if we can gain this supply and demand box as a support, that would be support level being quad 0, 1408. We can make our next move up to the next level of the ladder here, which is the quad 0, 1473. And then ultimately our 4 hour supply and demand box up here of quad 0, 1574. And if you guys have seen this before, since we have this as like the ultimate top for this short time frame, if we take our Fibonacci and we go up to that spot, which will act as a resistance in that box, we can see where price is going with our RSI or our Fibonacci. So price bounced off the bottom, came up. You can see it's bouncing off the 786, and it's about to get to the 70 line. And these are the rungs of the ladder. We need to climb the 70, the 618, getting above that at the 0.5, reclaim that as a support, and then keep on moving up until we gain the ultimate resistance up here at the top of our Fibonacci level as well. If we go backwards and we look at this on a larger time scale now on the daily chart, and if we do the opposite with our Fibonacci, so if we go from our most recent high to our most recent low, and we can take a look as well where price would be going to like if this is going to start a downtrend and it has a pullback up into its previous highs, the 0.70 line is right here at the top of our supply and demand box. And then the 618 is at the bottom. Again, coming back to that level of quad 0.1574. However, if for some reason price did decide to decline and we started going into a more bearish situation, price could be returning here, 50976. Jumping over here to Ethereum, looking at us on the daily charts here, you can see price came. It actually retested off that 50 moving average. It is still looking a little gnarly here on the RSI. It's broken outside of the Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands also flaring out here. The average price starting to drop as well. So let's look here. Daily supply and demand box was this one. It broke that. However, the bodies are in there. All right. So the bodies are still surviving that. It did tap off the 50. Let's see if it comes up. You can see right here, there is fair value gap, and it could very likely at least return up to the top of that fair value gap, fill that up at 1825, right? So the price of 1825 for Ethereum could fill that. It is currently being supported inside of our supply and demand box, which we actually drew that on the 4 hours. So we'll turn that one red, turn the fair value gap off. And that's where we're at. So let's drop into a lower supply. Let's go to a lower time frame here. So we're on the 4 hour. Let's look at the 4 hour Heikin-Ashi candles. So it broke this one for sure. It broke this one for sure. And so that leaves it with the possibility, luckily, as you saw on the daily there, it is being supported by the 50 moving average. So we've got that. That's the 4 hour downside supply and demand box. That gets us down to, if this doesn't hold here, that's at $1,415. $1,415 is the top of that supply and demand box. If we start to head back to the upside here on the 4 hour, the next resistance level it'll run into is this little green candle here, 1852. So if we do start to see this bullish rally back up to 1852, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's even go to the 1 hour. Maybe it gives us a little better view here. On the 1 hour, because of where price is, okay, so we got this. All right, so price is currently sitting here. So the next level down would be this box right here. We wanted to use that. That downside box is going to be blue because it's a 1 hour box. And we'll go into where we're at currently. So it has invalidated that one. Price has also invalidated this one. So we keep on looking. Where did price go? We've got this box here. Okay, so now that's the hourly up here. So price did invalidate this one. It did not quite reach here though. So this is a random, this is really strange. Look at that. There is no, on this upward move. I mean, if we go back in time, we would have to pull one from like here. That's like an order block anyway. So let's look at this on regular candles. You can kind of find order blocks that way. So there was this big giant imbalance here. There's this order block right here. Price broke below that even. So there was this order block right here on the hourly. Let's box in this whole entire order block here and see what happens. So there's that top candle, the bottom candle. This is just a different strategy because it had already destroyed the supply and demand box. And as you can see, it did get right to the middle of that. So erratic movement here from Ethereum to the downside. We're going to get rid of that though, because I don't use that strategy. But you can see it got here, it got into the box, and it even came down and continued liquidating people here. But to the upside, the 1 hour right now is about to have a positive cross if this momentum continues. Right now it's rejecting off the 50 and the 21 exponential, coming back and retesting that. If it can gain momentum and power to the upside, which the RSI, as you can see, it's in the green background for this current hour, which there's 32 minutes left, is showing bullish, but we did have a bearish divergence here. Let's look at our divergence for mini indicators. There hasn't been one except for this RSI and histogram back here, which proved to be a successful signal there. All right. So daily, Heikinashi though, our move, it's bouncing here. Got a volume bullish divergence bouncing off of the 50 moving average on the dailies, starting to make its way back up. Again, to the upside, we're looking for it to go to 1852. Right now, it's at its support. If it were to break there, it could be heading back to 1470. And then really, really good news up here on the daily where we're headed. We get this bullish momentum and it comes back and it clears out, creating that newer high. That is going to be here on the daily. We're going yellow. Yellow, yellow. Boom. All right. And then that would be a retest up there at 1900. So we're going to watch closely there. Again, right here, though, interestingly enough, price didn't make a new higher high, but this is a new lower low. This was the previous low. And then boom, this one went lower than that. It is retesting off of here, though. So maybe that's all it is. Let's look at the weekly. Our weekly big, giant, bullish or bearish engulfing candle, not looking good there. However, our RSI is still in a bullish situation. So, and the bulls are battling back this last couple of hours of this candle here. We are up to $1,616. Going to Bitcoin. Bitcoin also came down, taps right into our 4-hour supply and demand zone. Bulls are buying it back up, which is a good thing, and making a move. Let's look at the 4-hour charts here. Heikinashi. It is now out of our 4-hour supply and demand box. It has now regained that as a support. Our next level up is going to be getting us back to here, which is also a level of our Fibonacci level, which is the 236, 23,405 to the upside. If for some reason it decided to break down and head downwards, we are going to look at the price to the downside here. Support is at 20,763. If it continues moving lower to the 618, looking at 20,500, and then potentially even dipping to that 70, the 0.70 of the Fibonacci, 19,864. So that's what the charts are showing. You can see even here on the 4-hour, we had a massive, massive bearish divergence indication. The RSI, the CCI, the VW, MACD, and the money flow indicator all signaling at that same time that there was a bearish divergence happening, and boom, price fell. On the daily, it gave us the histogram and the stochastic bearish divergence, boom, it fell. All right, so here we are on the news report. FTX revenue reportedly grew 1,000% in 1 year. Leaked documents reveal the revenue breakdown discloses a 1,842% increase in operating income for FTX from 14 million to 272 million for 2020 to 2021. Now, remember this too. This is how they had all of this money. And like, for those of you guys that are not paying attention or you're not 100% aware, all of these companies going bankrupt had a lot to do with FTX shorting the market. FTX was purposely putting pressure on these companies that had leveraged themselves, which was a dumb move. But that's why we had the Luna crash, Voyager crash, the Three Arrows Capital crash, all of those, because FTX was just absolutely putting downside pressure on the market, taking out their competitors, and it worked. I mean, as far as I go as a retail trader, that pisses me off because I was involved in some of those companies, wasn't aware that these people were purposely manipulating the market to crush these companies so they could buy them for pennies on the dollar or just eliminate their competitors at all. But on the opposite side, if you're an FTT token holder or FTX member, you're freaking stoked, right? Because your company freaking crushed it last year. So they did really, really well. Just wanted to cover that real quick. In other news, top stories last week, Fed issued long-awaited guidelines for granting master accounts to crypto banks. Crypto's continued journey into mainstream has come to various levels of regulatory action across the globe, and this week brought clarity in terms of expectations for crypto-focused banks seeking accounts with the United States Federal Reserve. A framework released by the Federal Reserve Board details expectations for such applicant banks, including the level of due diligence to be provided based on each applicant's risk level. Giving crypto-focused banks access to the Fed's so-called master accounts has been a slow process, but it suggests that regulators are gradually integrating digital assets into mainstream finance. Now, here's the double-edged sword here, guys. Do you really want the Federal Reserve being in control of crypto? I mean, they're in control of the world reserve currency currently, and look how great it's doing. Do you really want that to happen? I know a lot of people are like, oh, if they adopt it, it'll be worth $1 billion a coin. Ah, I want to be rich, dude. Okay, yeah, maybe. And then they could also just flip a switch and turn off your account. So that's the other maybe, right? And remember, the United States Federal Reserve is not a federal business. It's not a government agency. It's not a government anything. It is literally a private company. Like, say, for example, you started a window washing company and you wanted to call it the United States Window Washing Company. You could do that. That's what these bankers did. They started a bank and they called it the United States Federal Reserve. So that way all the dumb people out there, the sheeple, are like, oh, it's the government's bank. The government helps me and I love the government. Thank you. No, that is some really, really extremely 5 very rich families came together and purchased the United States by giving them loans when they went bankrupt during the war. So I'm not a big fan of the United States Federal Reserve. That's why you hear it. People say the Fed or audit the Fed, right? They don't really call it the United States Federal Reserve because that is a fictitious business name that they brought up for themselves. BlockFi tops the Inc. 5000 list with almost 250,000 revenue and growth 3 years. Centralized finance player BlockFi topped Inc. magazine's 2020 list of U.S. companies showing the highest revenue growth over the past 3 years. Although the list showcases 5,000 companies posting revenue growth, making it into consideration for the list requires paying a small fee and submitting an application. Be that as it may, BlockFi has tallied 245,000% increase in revenue, sustainability, or substantially higher than the company holding second place on the list. Ethereum Foundation clarifies that the upcoming merge upgrade will not reduce gas fees. So Ethereum highly anticipated merge, which involves a shift to proof of stake from the current proof of work consensus mechanism, should arrive before 2022 is over, possibly in September, according to expectations. The move is a significant piece of the puzzle regarding Ethereum's forward progression. Although the merge means lessened energy required for running Ethereum's blockchain, that does not mean the network's gas fees will fall, according to Ethereum Foundation. Gas fees are a product of network demand relative to the network's capacity. The foundation specified this week. The merge depreciates the use of proof of work, transitioning to proof of stake for consensus, but does not significantly change any parameters that directly influence network capacity or throughput. So basically, it could still be very, very expensive when we get into another bull run. UK hits double-digit inflation for the first time in 40 years. Inflation currently affects billions of people across the globe. The UK specifically has now entered double-digit territory for inflation. According to the latest Consumer Price Index, CPI, July CPI came in at 10.1, up from 9.4 in June, the highest since February of 1982. A sharp rise in gas price, food, and other goods contributed to the higher inflation print. As you guys know, the opposite happened in the US. We were at 9.1, came down to a 8.5, which was a very, very good print out for the US. Hopefully we get another lower number when the next meeting happens. BitGo to sue Galaxy Digital for $100 million over dropped acquisition. Digital asset custody firm BitGo intends to pursue legal action against crypto firm Galaxy Digital to the tune of $100 million. Galaxy canceled its move to acquire BitGo, stating that BitGo missed its deadline to provide certain financial documents. Legal representation for BitGo alleged that Galaxy is obligated to pay $100 million as a termination cost or an equivalent or greater amount in damages, while a Galaxy spokesperson stated the company's choice to cancel the deal was within the contractual rights based on BitGo's missed deadline. So very interesting. As we know, something similar is playing out with Elon Musk and Twitter. So this one was $100 million. The Twitter thing could be like $1 billion fee that Elon would have to pay for backing out. FTX US among 5 companies receive cease and desist letter from the FDIC. So interesting news. I just read the article that was based on how amazing FTX is. And then here's some FUD for it as well. So the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance, FDIC, has issued cease and desist letters to 5 companies, including FTX US, for allegedly making false representations about deposit insurance related to digital assets. The government agency claims FTX US and 4 other companies involved in the crypto-related publications misrepresented the FDIC's deposit insurance protection by claiming that it also applies to certain digital asset products. The FDIC has asked the companies to take immediate corrective action to address these false and misleading statements.